There is a vegetable that regrows itself after you eat it. You buy it once, you cut the green tops. You eat those tops in your dinner, then you place the white root end in a glass of water, and it grows back. Not partially, not weakly, completely. The same green shoots you just ate regenerate from the base you were about to throw away. Within 3 days, visible growth appears. Within 7 days, harvestable greens have returned. Within 2 weeks, you have more green onion than you started with. You cut again. You eat again. You place in water again. It grows back again. This cycle continues indefinitely. The same root end you saved from a single grocery store purchase continues producing green onions for months. Some people have maintained the same roots for over a year. Some have maintained them for 2 years. 2 years of green onions from one purchase. 2 years of harvests from one root. 2 years of a vegetable that costs money every week at the grocery store, produced for free on a windowsill. This requires no soil. The roots sit in water. Plain tap water, nothing added, nothing special. This requires no seeds. The root end that you were going to discard contains everything needed. The seeds were planted by farmers months ago. You inherit their work for free. This requires no skill. A child can do it. A person who has killed every houseplant they have ever owned can do it. The setup takes 1 minute, and the maintenance takes 10 seconds per day. 1 minute to set up unlimited green onions, 10 seconds daily to change the water. $0 after the initial purchase. And the produce industry hopes you never figure this out, because every green onion you regrow is a green onion you do not buy. Every week of harvests from your windowsill is a week of revenue lost from their supply chain. Every kitchen that discovers this secret is a customer who partially exits the produce market. The industry does not advertise that their product regrows. The packaging does not suggest saving the roots. The grocery store does not post signs explaining that this purchase could be your last. They want you back next week. They want you buying the same vegetable every shopping trip. They want the cycle of purchase and discard to continue forever. Today, we are opening the file on the vegetable that never stops growing, the kitchen scrap that becomes unlimited supply, the 1-minute setup that replaces weekly purchases, and the produce industry that profits from your ignorance of what that root end can do. If this matters to you, subscribe and hit the bell. The file is open. The vegetable is called scallion in culinary terminology. It is also called green onion, spring onion, bunching onion, Welsh onion, Japanese bunching onion, and salad onion, depending on where you live and who taught you to cook. The scientific name is Allium fistulosum, though Allium cepa, varieties grown young are also sold as green onions. The distinction matters to botanists but not to your kitchen. Both regrow, both are delicious. Both represent free food that most people throw away. The green onion is not a baby onion that will eventually form a bulb. It is a distinct species bred for its green tops and mild white base. It will never become a storage onion, no matter how long you grow it. It will simply continue producing green shoots until the roots finally exhaust themselves, which takes far longer than most people imagine. Americans purchase approximately 500 million bunches of green onions per year. At an average price of $1.50 per bunch, this represents $750 million in annual sales. $750 million spent on a vegetable that regrows for free. Every one of those 500 million bunches contains root ends that could continue producing. Every one of those root ends gets thrown in the garbage or the compost. Every week, millions of Americans discard the means of production while purchasing the product. This is how grocery economics works. The customer pays repeatedly for what they could produce themselves. The industry profits from ignorance that could be eliminated with one sentence of information. Nobody tells you because nobody benefits from telling you except you. The biology that makes regrowth possible is elegant and ancient. Plants do not grow the way animals grow. Animals grow by cell division distributed throughout their bodies. Plants grow from specific zones called meristems, where undifferentiated cells multiply and then become roots, stems, or leaves. The base of a green onion contains a meristem. This cluster of eternally youthful cells sits just above the root plate, the flattened disc from which the roots emerge. When you cut green onion tops, you leave the meristem intact. It continues doing what meristems do. It produces new cells. Those cells differentiate into new green shoots. The meristem does not know it has been cut. It does not experience trauma that requires recovery. It simply continues the growth program that it has been executing since the seed germinated. cut the top, and the meristem replaces the top. Cut it again, and it replaces it again. This biological reality has been exploited by gardeners for thousands of years. The ancient Chinese developed bunching onion cultivation over 2,000 years ago. They discovered that Allium fistulosum could be harvested repeatedly from the same planting. Unlike bulb onions that must be replanted after harvest, bunching onions regenerate continuously. Chinese farmers would harvest green tops for market, leaving the white bases in the ground. The tops regrew, they harvested again. The same planting produced multiple harvests per season. The same field produced green onions year after year without replanting. This knowledge spread across Asia. Japanese cuisine incorporated green onions as a fundamental ingredient precisely because they were always available. Korean, Vietnamese, Thai, and Filipino cuisines followed the same pattern. The vegetable that regrows became the vegetable that every kitchen uses. The knowledge should have spread to America with Asian immigration. Instead, it was lost in translation. American grocery stores sell green onions as a one-time product. You buy, you use, you discard. The agricultural practice of continuous harvest became the retail practice of continuous purchase. The immigrants who knew better often continued regrowing in their own kitchens. But they did not advertise this knowledge. They did not write books about it. They simply grew green onions on windowsills, while their American neighbors bought new bunches every week. The disconnect persists today. The knowledge is not hidden. It is simply not promoted. The economics of the produce industry ensure that no one with advertising budget will spread it. The setup requires less than 60 seconds. Purchase green onions from any grocery store. Look for bunches with roots still attached. Most bunches have roots. Some have been trimmed. The roots are essential. Look for roots that appear healthy. White roots are ideal. Brown or slimy roots may still work but have lower success rates. The more root mass, the better the regrowth potential. When you prepare green onions for cooking, cut about 1 inch above the root plate. Leave all the white base intact. Leave the roots completely untouched. The piece you save should be approximately 1 to 2 inches long. Take a glass jar or small container. Any vessel that holds water will work. Shot glasses work for single green onions. Mason jars work for entire bunches. Repurposed food containers work perfectly. Place the root ends in the container with roots facing down. Add enough water to cover the roots, but not submerge the entire cutting. The water line should reach approximately halfway up the white portion. Place the container in a location that receives light. A windowsill is ideal. A kitchen counter near a window works. Direct sunlight is not required. Bright indirect light is sufficient. The setup is complete. Within 24 hours, you will see signs of life. The cut tops will show slight green coloration as cells activate. Within 48 hours, visible growth begins. A small green tip emerges from the center of each cutting. Within 1 week, the growth becomes dramatic. Green shoots extend 1 to 3 inches above the original cut line. The vegetable is visibly regenerating itself. Within 2 weeks, the green onions are ready to harvest again. Cut the tops, leaving 1 inch above the root plate. Use the tops in cooking. Watch as regrowth begins immediately. The cycle continues for months. The maintenance is trivially simple. Change the water every 1 to 2 days. Daily water changes produce the best results. Every other day is acceptable. Longer than 3 days and the water becomes stagnant, promoting bacterial growth and unpleasant odors. Use tap water at room temperature. Cold water slows growth. Hot water damages roots. Municipal tap water works fine despite chlorine content. Well water works fine. Filtered water works fine but is not necessary. The water change takes 10 seconds. Remove old water, add new water, return container to windowsill. The time investment is negligible. The return is continuous fresh produce. Some roots will eventually exhaust themselves. After 3 to 5 months of continuous harvest, individual root sections may stop producing vigorous growth. The greens become thin and pale. The root plate softens. When this happens, discard the exhausted root and replace it with a fresh one from your next grocery purchase. The cycle restarts. One purchase provides another 3 to 5 months of production. A household that eats green onions weekly might purchase 1 bunch per month instead of 4. The savings accumulate. The convenience increases. The freshness improves because you harvest moments before eating. The nutritional profile of green onions justifies their presence in every kitchen. Green onions contain vitamin K in quantities that matter. A single tablespoon of chopped green onion provides 10% of daily vitamin K requirement. Vitamin K is essential for blood clotting and bone metabolism. Most Americans are deficient. Green onions contain vitamin C, the classic antioxidant that supports immune function. Fresh green onions, harvested from your windowsill and eaten immediately, contain more vitamin C than grocery store green onions that were harvested days ago and shipped across the country. Green onions contain folate, the B vitamin essential for cell division and DNA synthesis. Pregnant women are advised to consume adequate folate. Green onions contribute to this requirement. Green onions contain quercetin, a flavonoid with anti-inflammatory properties. Research suggests quercetin may reduce risk of heart disease and certain cancers. Onion family vegetables are among the richest dietary sources. Green onions contain sulfur compounds that give them their characteristic flavor. These same compounds have antimicrobial properties. Traditional medicine used onion preparations for wound treatment and infection prevention. Modern research validates some of these traditional uses. The green tops are more nutritious than the white bases. The chlorophyll that makes them green indicates active photosynthesis and high nutrient density. When you regrow green onions, you are producing the most nutritious part repeatedly, while the less nutritious base does the work. The calories are negligible. A tablespoon contains approximately 1 calorie. You can eat unlimited green onions without affecting your weight. They add flavor and nutrition with no caloric cost. The flavor impact of fresh green onions exceeds what most home cooks realize. Green onions harvested from a windowsill and used immediately have brighter, sharper flavor than green onions purchased days earlier and stored in refrigerators. The volatile sulfur compounds that create onion flavor dissipate over time. Every hour after harvest, some flavor compounds escape. By the time grocery store green onions reach your kitchen, they have lost measurable flavor intensity. Windowsill green onions lose nothing. You cut, you chop, you add to your dish. The full flavor potential reaches your food. Chefs know this. Professional kitchens that care about flavor grow herbs and alliums on site. They harvest moments before service. They understand that fresh means harvested today, not harvested last week and stored. Home cooks can achieve the same advantage without professional investment. A glass of water on a windowsill provides what restaurant herb gardens provide. The barrier to fresh flavor is not equipment or space, it is knowledge. The culinary applications of green onions span virtually every cuisine. Asian cuisines use green onions as fundamental aromatics. They appear in Chinese stir-fries, Japanese soups, Korean pancakes, Vietnamese pho Thai curries, and countless other preparations. A kitchen that cooks Asian food without green onions is missing essential flavor. Mexican cuisine uses green onions in salsas, tacos, and grilled preparations. Carne asada is traditionally served with grilled green onions. Alongside the charred sweetness, complements the meat. American cuisine uses green onions as garnish and finishing elements. Baked potatoes topped with green onions. Soups finished with sliced green onions. Salads brightened with green onion rings. The applications are limited only by imagination. Anywhere you want mild onion flavor without the harshness of raw white or yellow onion, green onions serve. Anywhere you want visual appeal with green color, green onions deliver. Anywhere you want texture, they always have the option to add green onion to any dish. This availability changes cooking patterns. Dishes that once went without green onion now include it because it is there, ready, requiring no trip to the store. The economics, over time, become significant. A bunch of green onions costs $1.50 on average. Some stores charge more, some charge less during seasonal abundance. $1.50 represents a reasonable national average. A household that uses one bunch per week spends $78 per year on green onions. This seems trivial in isolation. $78 spread across 52 weeks does not feel like a major expense. But the calculation changes when you realize most of that expenditure is unnecessary. A household that regrows green onions might purchase one bunch per month instead of 4. Their annual expenditure drops to $18. They save $60 per year. $60 per year, every year, forever. Over a decade, $600 saved. Over 20 years, $1,200 saved from one simple practice that takes 1 minute to set up. The savings compound when you consider other vegetables that regrow. Lettuce regrows from its base, though less vigorously than green onions. Romaine hearts placed in water produce new leaves within a week. The production is limited compared to field-grown lettuce, but provides fresh greens at no additional cost. Celery regrows from its base with impressive vigor. The base that you cut off and discard contains the same meristematic tissue that green onions possess. Place it in water, and new celery stalks emerge. Bok choy regrows from its base, just like celery. Asian greens generally regrow well because Asian agricultural traditions selected for this property over thousands of years. Leeks regrow from their roots. The process is identical to green onions. The results take longer, but produce a more substantial vegetable. Garlic produces green shoots when cloves are placed in water. These garlic greens have mild garlic flavor and can be used like green onions in many applications. Ginger produces new rhizomes when planted in soil or sprouted in water. The process takes longer than green onions but produces fresh ginger indefinitely. A kitchen that practices systematic regrowth transforms food scraps into continuous production. The vegetable drawer becomes a source of propagation material rather than a repository for eventual garbage. The produce industry has no interest in promoting these practices. Every vegetable you regrow is a vegetable you do not purchase. Every successful regrowth represents lost revenue. Every kitchen that learns these techniques partially exits the market. The industry response is silence. You will not find regrowth instructions on produce packaging. You will not see grocery store demonstrations of windowsill gardening. You will not encounter produce industry advertising that suggests you can grow your own. The information does not serve their interests. They do not suppress it through conspiracy. They simply do not promote it. They focus advertising on purchase, not production. They focus messaging on convenience, not self-sufficiency. The produce industry spends approximately $500 million per year on advertising and promotion. This money promotes purchase. Zero of this money promotes home growing. The information asymmetry is intentional. Those with advertising budgets do not share information that reduces their revenue. Those without advertising budgets cannot compete for attention. The knowledge spreads through channels outside commercial media. It spreads through videos like this one. It spreads through conversations between friends. It spreads through online communities that share techniques and results. The spread is slow but persistent. Every person who learns to regrow green onions tells others. Every kitchen windowsill with green shoots inspires questions from visitors. The produce industry cannot stop this spread. They can only hope it remains marginal. They can only hope that most consumers never learn what that root end can do. The historical practice of kitchen gardening has nearly disappeared. A century ago, most households grew some portion of their food. Kitchen gardens provided vegetables that supplemented purchased staples. Window boxes held herbs and small vegetables. The boundary between consumer and producer was blurry. Industrial agriculture and supermarket distribution changed this relationship. Food became something you purchased, not something you produced. Convenience replaced self-sufficiency. The kitchen became a place of assembly rather than a place of growing. This transition served commercial interests but not necessarily consumer interests. Purchased food costs money. Grown food costs time but saves money. The trade-off makes sense for busy households with limited time. But the trade-off is not inevitable. Small-scale growing can coexist with purchased food. Regrowing green onions represents the minimal viable kitchen garden. It requires no outdoor space. It requires no gardening knowledge. It requires no time beyond 1 minute of setup and 10 seconds of daily maintenance. It demonstrates that growing food is possible, that purchased food is not the only option, that the boundary between consumer and producer can be crossed without lifestyle transformation. A household that regrows green onions might next try regrowing lettuce, then celery, then herbs in small pots. The practice expands naturally once it begins. The produce industry fears this expansion. They fear that small successes lead to larger experiments. They fear that kitchen windowsills become the gateway to backyard gardens. They fear that consumers become partial producers who purchase less. The fear is justified. This is exactly what happens. Small-scale growing builds confidence. Confidence leads to expansion. Expansion reduces dependence on commercial food systems. This is not a threat to the food system as a whole. People will continue buying most of their food, but but the marginal reduction in purchases spread across millions of households represents billions of dollars. The industry's silence about regrowth is economically rational. It is not morally neutral. The practice connects you to the fundamental nature of plants. Plants want to grow. They are programmed by millions of years of evolution to produce more of themselves. They will grow despite obstacles. They will grow wherever conditions permit. The green onion root end that you place in water is executing programming that predates human civilization. It is doing what its ancestors did for hundreds of millions of years before anyone thought to eat it. When you watch green shoots emerge from a kitchen scrap, you are watching life asserting itself. You are watching the fundamental drive of biology made visible. You are participating in a process that connects you to every farmer and gardener and gatherer who has ever lived. This connection has psychological value that cannot be quantified. Modern life separates us from the sources of our sustenance. Food appears in grocery stores, processed and packaged, disconnected from soil and sun and water. The living plant that produced the food is invisible. The process of growth is hidden. Regrowing green onions reverses this separation momentarily. You see growth, you participate in production. You understand at a visceral level that food comes from living things that want to live. This understanding changes your relationship with food. Waste becomes more troubling when you have watched the effort that growth requires. Appreciation increases when you understand what went into producing what you eat. The psychological benefits may exceed the economic benefits. The dollars saved are measurable. The reconnection with life is not measurable, but may matter more. The practice is spreading despite industry silence. Social media has enabled sharing that bypasses commercial advertising. Videos of regrowing vegetables accumulate millions of views. Posts about kitchen windowsill gardens inspire imitation. The younger generation, burdened with economic precarity that their parents did not face, searches for ways to reduce expenses. Regrowing vegetables is one small answer among many. The appeal is practical and immediate. The older generation, concerned about food systems and sustainability, searches for ways to reduce environmental impact. Regrowing vegetables reduces transportation, packaging, and agricultural inputs. The appeal is ethical and systemic. Both generations find their way to the same practice through different paths. The convergence suggests that the practice will continue spreading. The information is available, the interest exists, the barriers are low. The produce industry can do nothing to stop this spread. They can only watch as their market erodes at the margins. They can only hope that the practice remains a curiosity rather than becoming standard. The future may not fulfill their hope. You can start today. The next time you purchase green onions, save the root ends. Place them in water on your windowsill. Watch what happens over the next 2 weeks. You will see growth. You will see life asserting itself. You will see free food emerging from what you were going to discard. Then you will cut the greens and use them in cooking, and you will see regrowth begin again. The cycle will continue for months. Your one purchase will become dozens of harvests. Your kitchen scrap will become continuous production. You will wonder why no one told you this before. You will wonder why the grocery store did not explain. You will wonder why this information was not common knowledge. Now you know why. The industry does not profit from your knowledge. They profit from your ignorance. They profit from the weekly purchase of what you could produce yourself. You now have the knowledge they did not want you to have. 1 glass of water, 1 minute of setup. Unlimited green onions, the same root end you were going to throw away. Growing on your windowsill, producing food for free. The produce industry hopes you forget this video. They hope you continue buying what you can grow. They hope the convenience of the grocery store outweighs the simplicity of a glass of water. They hope because hope is all they have. They cannot stop you from placing roots in water. They cannot prevent growth that biology demands. They can only hope you choose not to try. The choice is yours. 1 minute of setup, months of harvest, $0 spent. The vegetable that regrows itself, waiting in your refrigerator right now. If this video helped you, subscribe and hit the bell. Every share grows what they wanted you to buy. The next video opens soon.